Man, this comic book sucks! And the reviews online said it was good! I wasted my money! Why didn't somebody tell me?
Hey everybody, this is Steppenwolf. We have Petey here and
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
this is our back issue that we're doing, New Gods number 7. This is the Pact. Now this is a period in the middle of the New Gods where Jack Kirby was sort of hitting his stride with, I think in New Gods, it was the young Mr. Miracle,
right,
and the Hyman story about the person who helped create the boom tube, who was able to teleport in and out. And we had in the Forever People, we saw Darkseid using his Omega beams and seemingly wipe out the Forever People. So we had some interesting stuff going on in there. And then in the New Gods, we had the Pact, where we got some history on what happened, well, in the past of the New Gods. So we're introduced to, how do you pronounce it, Isaiah, the inheritor.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically with his, I guess his wife or girlfriend. We're looking at it, it could possibly be Mr. Miracle's mother, but they're just enjoying themselves. It's a tender moment that Kirby has, and they get attacked by Steppenwolf and a young Darkseid, but it's hard to tell if Darkseid's young because he just looks like Darkseid. And Darkseid, we revealed, is a master plotter. He seems to they not only kill Isaiah's wife, but they also seemingly kill Isaiah with these killing gloves. And Darkseid says, "Do you want to check the body?" And he's like, "No, I trust you, but I believe you, but I don't trust you, nephew." And Steppenwolf, they go back, and then Isaiah actually survives this story, but this drives him to be, who's of the New Genesis, drives him to be, like a bloodthirsty reaction to it, which is something we find out this is something that Darkseid might want. So in this point, we see Darkseid with his mother, and it was like a royal court on Apocalypse. And in this part, we meet Metron, and Metron is now, we hear what we've been reading in the first issues. We find out Metron's playing both sides. He's more playing, he's the academic. He wants to find knowledge, and he'll take it anyway. So this X element is going to create the Mobius chair. We find out all these bits and the boom tube, and that's what Metron does. But then you see Darkseid's mother. She's just completely terrible. And what's going on? And Isaiah comes back. We get this big battle that's in the back here. Isaiah versus Steppenwolf. And we find out Steppenwolf is a bit player. And this has all been set up by Darkseid. And it's also, the book really feels like you're in where World War II, that this war has just been going on forever. It's dark and heavy. And now Isaiah realized, and then we have Metron again with Isaiah, and it's like, wow, he's, and everyone's okay with him being on both sides. But, Isaiah's like, he's lost his way. He completely lost his way. He doesn't know what to do. And he goes to the source, and the source, I'm not sure if, I'm guessing Kirby might have read, 2001 and created his own monolith in the story, but it's interesting to see that element in the story. There's a wall. He connects with the wall, the source, and he becomes the Highfather. We don't really know that he's going to be Highfather, but then this plot, this thing that drives the New God is that the children have been switched. Darkseid's son has been switched, and Highfather's son has been switched, and this causes a peace treaty. And once we see how the New God started, this peace treaty is over, and now we have the war that's going on again. So it's a powerful issue. It's really the rawest that we could ever get of Kirby, and it's before the editorial is like saying this is, it's not selling as much, and you can see him being frantic and introducing Bug, a character that I don't know if foragers need to be introduced that quickly, but we really got the history of the New Gods, and it's one issue, and it has so much story in it. So when I read it, I'm thinking of Star Wars, but it's not exactly like Star Wars, but it has the element of the switch, the child being switched out. But when you first hear it, it's like, oh my God, Star Wars took from New Gods. Empire Strikes Back took from the New Gods, but it's not exactly like that.
It would have been great if Justice League, the movie, had actually taken from the New Gods. That would have been great.
Well, having the boom tube in there and having
the story, not the gadgets, the story.
Yeah, I could have that. But I mean, this is Kirby at this period, sort of at his best. This middle period of the New Gods. Even though it's very rough as far as it's not Vince Colletta or who was it, Joe Sinnott. But we got to see really raw what Kirby meant to do, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this period very much of the New Gods. So, what do you think about this book?
Well, when I hadn't read the book first, I had known the New Gods storyline, and I was very, very much interested in reading because I loved Mr. Miracle. So I was very much interested in reading the pact that was made between Highfather and Darkseid. You know, the switching of the suns and so on and so forth. So I get over to this issue, which pretty much is everything that you need to know. And if you've been a patient reader, it's been a few months, but it's everything that you need to know about the foundation of the whole, not so much necessarily the New Gods world, but what gets, a lot of the stuff started that we're still dealing with. And the complexity of it is great in comparison to what you have today. I mean, a lot of guys now, and I hate to bring these battle boards into it, but you'll go there and they'll say, oh, no, nobody ever defeats Darkseid because that's just an avatar. And they haven't used avatars in years. Okay? They haven't used avatars since the Bronze Age. But that's pretty much what it would be. When you would speak with whatever it was, Darkseid, it was almost like a Doombot at the end of the day, or like an LMD with Nick Fury. You were never sure if that was actually him. And it would identify, no, I'm an avatar. You're wasting your time, that sort of stuff. But here you get to see just how much of a planner and just how... just how Machiavellian Darkseid is at the end of the day, but also the rest of the players as well, without it being soap operatic at the end of the day, where you're really, okay, who's on whose side at this point, with the exception of the big guys, and you know that those guys don't necessarily, they can't switch, because if not, we don't have the good and evil battle here at the end of the day. And, scot-free, of course, being raised, over an apocalypse, which has to be horrible, and then Orion, being raised in New Genesis, which allows for the prophecy that's going to happen between him and Darkseid. I mean, when I read this, and then I think about what's come later with the New Gods, you would really, I think the better route might have been for it to have been this finite storyline that Kirby got to tell and end, because once it bleeds into the DC universe, a lot of the stuff that's really big and mythological with what we see in their storyline can't happen, because once it becomes part of the DC universe proper, and you have Superman and Batman and those guys getting involved, then Batman can shoot Darkseid with he can shoot Darkseid with a radium bullet.
we can.
Or Superman's going to come over and fight Darkseid and defeat him, and that's really supposed to be for Orion to do. And if Orion does it, then it's like, okay, so where's Orion in the scape of the whole DC universe? I really thought, I think it's a stronger storyline if it's just encapsulated within that whole New Gods universe, and maybe these guys visit, but it's off on its own at the end of the day. Because it's such a, that is such a big story in one issue. Okay, it's almost like prose edda when you think about it. It's the the creation of it's the creation of the 9 realms, and also the foretelling of Ragnarok, all of those things, and that's what Kirby had wanted to do anyway. And it's all right there, but then part of me, it's all hindsight at the end of the day, because you don't know what would have happened in one situation or the other. But once it does become part of the DC universe proper, there's there's an aspect of the mythological strength that it has, being subjugated by the stronger DC universe mythology, that it was never going to fully exist in at the end of the day. But man, it was just a story, it's a story and a half at the end of the day. I even think, was it I'm trying to remember if it was a special issue or they were giving those issues more pages. I remember something was like 25 cents, more pages now, or something of that nature. I always remember it being bigger.
It was bigger, but it had a reprint in the end of either Manhunter. I think some of the other books had like Sandman, and then there was the Boy Commando. So instead of doing it separately as Marvel was doing it, they were putting it in the book and a higher price, which of course cost them in the long run. But to talk to your point,
Marvel just kept swimming along with the same damn thing.
They did 20. They went to 20. They said they were going to go to 25, but they went to 20. But the aspect of what you talk about, something that who was it, Byrne and Simonson were talking about when they were on panel in Comic-Con. They were like, these are almost the first independent comics. Like, it could have been in a world of its own if he wanted to, if they wanted to keep it separate. But one of the things that's interesting for me is that this really lets you know, because I'm looking through the New Guys comic when they had the reprints in the 80s, and I'm like, is Darkseid going to hit anybody at some point? And he's like more of a planet than Doctor Doom. And this issue where you see he set up his mother, he set up his uncle, you know, and then he's in power, and he's like, you know what? Even me having a kid is setting up this pact and drawing, and then of course.
And I also got to see that he actually looked normal at first, because I was about to say, I thought he was because again, I'm reading Thanos first and then getting back to this. So I'm thinking he's like, okay, he's like Thanos, so he's born, and he looks like this, craggy, this craggy gray purplish thing. And only to find out, no, that was later on, thanks to some more machinations and him, going after some power he shouldn't have had.
Well, then you also have, we have Metal, we had a baby Darkseid.
He's a teenager now.
A light-skinned baby
But now he's worse.
You should go back and I think was it Jules Verne? Not Jules Verne, but it's like the comic book greats. They sort of celebrate Kirby's New Guys the way it should be, of the writing being sort of poetic and Victorian aspect to it. And that's one thing, it doesn't, when it bleeds over, when you get past it to some of the other titles he did at DC, like say, Commandy, that sort of dialogue doesn't work as well because he's doing, but then it gets more like caveman stuff type of thing. But you see a lot of things bleed over. So when you see Commandy went on for 40, when he did the Captain America, a lot of the monsters from Commandy worked their way into Captain America. So it's like, it's a tough period for Kirby because it was doing well, but not well enough to really, make DC happy. So, but I mean, you got to go back and check these out. There's tons of reprints, black and white,
get an original.
80s. Originally, you can get the original. And the thing, when I was a kid,
you can get a nice copy. You can get a nice copy of an original, like not even mid-grade.
Get a bad copy. I got some bad copies of the original.
You can get a high-grade copy of this. You can get a high-grade copy of this, and you sit down and you read it. It's like it's fresh off the newsstand, and you can enjoy yourself. Better. I mean, look. What did some guy say? And he made a very good point. He's like, either you're spending $50 on a good comic, or you're going to spend $5 on 10 poor comics, because that's most of the new stuff coming out anyway. So if you're going to throw the money down anyway, throw it down on a really nice, really good comic. I mean, that's what I do. For my own personal collection, the books are high grade. That's it. I may open them, I may not, but when I sit down to read it, it's like, hey, it's like I just got it off the newsstand. It's not like it was beat up or jumped on or spindled. And it makes, for me, it just enhances the reading experience as opposed to the reader copy. And there's its place. The guys who just want those, they're trying to fill in. But I just find that the experience is that much, I'm not saying this as somebody who sells either. I just find that the experience is that much better when it's like, hey, this is like the first time it's ever been read.
I would say in collecting some of the Kirby stuff, one of the things that you definitely miss when you get the reprints would be the letter page, because you get to meet like Mark Grunwald in the Jimmy Olsen's letter page. You get to meet a lot of the people that would become talents in there. So that's one thing you can say for that. And then with these extra books and having the backup of the Simon and Kirby work. But one of the things that I've experienced when you decide that after 20 years on this earth, I read possibly maybe 20, 30 issues of the Fantastic Four run. And I'm like, how am I going to get the rest of these books? Reprints.
Yes.
Reprints.
Well, hey, look, when you're looking at Fantastic Four #1, you're looking at a reprint. I can't advocate you spending $4 or $5 so you can have that first time experience. But New Guys #7 is within your wheelhouse.
Yes, yeah.
And I have actually have Fantastic Four #2, but it's coverless. They have like a photocopied cover on the whole thing, but I have yet to read it because I'm so afraid, since it doesn't have the cover, I don't want to turn the page and the whole thing starts falling apart.
That's the thing when you get, I think I got Fantastic Four 53, and I got it. It probably was in decent shape, but then it's just like, oh my God, I'm just pouring over this. Look at this, this is amazing. And the next thing you know, I think I might still have that, but the other one, the Black Bolt issue, that one I think got stolen. So it's but you know,
Like
like
Black Bolt on the cover, 50.
the one
52,
where they
53,
fight,
54?
he fights the thing. Yeah, when he fights the thing, and I think I had one later one. So it's like 3 regular ones. I think the pocketbook reprints. I think then I got a Masterworks, and then I went crazy and bought the Marvel's Greatest Comics. And I think I got almost the entire, like, close to most of the issues, the key issues, which I had missed. But the only difference, the other problem is that that's the thing you go through. You don't get the same color. Like, they recolor some of the stuff. So
They
it's
always
like,
do.
why are you recoloring? Like
Like I have the Simonson run, and I got also they had these hardcover trades, and I paid some good money for those things because I got them after they came out. So the price, like you can pay up to $400 for one of those things. Okay, but I got a decent price on it, fine, and it's great. I usually use it if I have a book and the cover's kind of bent. I'll use it to press it down. I'm still using the old world type stuff. But you look at the color. You look at the color that they decided on, as opposed to the colors that were there, and I have to ask myself, what was wrong with the colors here?
Yeah. You see it weaken, like you have a dark color like this and they turn it white or something like that, or like a light blue, and it's like you're killing the mood because this is like dark. You read the comic and it's like dark. This is like no man's land, this stuff, like war.
And the experience is, the experience is different at the end of the day. There's certain things I just want because I want to be able to read the story again. Since I've already had that experience, I mean, look, I have the trades and I have the originals. That's how anal I am. So I can keep the originals and I can read the trades if I ever want to remember something and I don't have to mess those up. That's where I'm at in terms of overall collecting. But this has become more comic book hero and less comic book.
This is all we have to do for today. This is our last review. New Guys number 7. Check it out, and we'll see you later.
Thanks Spinnerack. You saved me money.